right, this is 49ers Talk, brought to you by Big O Tires. When it comes to tires, they're the pros and back it up with the lowest tire price guaranteed. Set an appointment at bigotires.com and drive away knowing you got the best deal on the road with the team you trust, Big O Tires. And I'm Matt. Jennifer Lee Chan is on assignment getting ready for the Sunday night game, 49ers and the Chicago Bears. And this is obviously a huge game for the 49ers, who have control of their own destiny. They have to beat the Bears, and then the following week, we'll see what happens with the Seattle Seahawks and Carolina Panthers. But regardless, if the 49ers win their final two games, they will win the NFC West. They'll be home field. They'll earn home field advantage in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Seattle's in the same boat. I mentioned they play the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. And so if Seattle wins that game, then it'll set up a showdown, 49ers and the Seahawks, for not only the division title, but also the number one seed. Also looming out there, the Los Angeles Rams. If the Rams beat the Falcons, followed by beating the Arizona Cardinals, what they would need would be both of the 49ers and Seahawks to lose one of their final two games in order for them to jump into the top spot in the NFC. So obviously 49ers and Bears, Carolina and Seattle. If Seattle and the 49ers win this weekend, then it sets it up for that winner-take-all game in the NFC, as the Rams would then be relegated to a wild card berth. And right now, when you look at the NFC wild card picture, and actually the whole playoff picture as it stands, 7 teams will make it in the NFC. We already know 6 of those teams. We know Seattle, Chicago, Philadelphia, the 49ers, the Rams, and the Green Bay Packers. The one team we don't know will be the winner of the NFC South. It's either going to be Carolina or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Green Bay clinched their playoff spot on the legs of the Minnesota Vikings beating the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have now been officially eliminated. So 49ers and the Bears. The Bears are a team that, it's kind of funny when you look at these particular teams. I think heading into this season, a lot of people thought that maybe the Bears playoff window or their Super Bowl window had yet to open. Meanwhile, for the 49ers, a lot of people around even these parts were saying that the 49ers Super Bowl window had closed, having gone to the Super Bowl in the 2023 season last year, falling back to 6-11. But here, both of these teams are 11-4, and the Bears have done it. Both teams have done it in a variety of ways. And just kind of a really unique season for both teams. For the 49ers, of course, you know the story, the injuries, the backup stepping up, the coaching job that Kyle Shanahan has done, the overhauling of special teams, Robert Saleh coming back. You know that story very well. For the Bears, 6 wins this season when trailing inside 2 minutes of regulation. So they've done it in really heart-stopping fashion. Just some really miraculous wins, including Week 16, their overtime victory on the Saturday night over the Packers. The Bears have also done it while taking care of the football and generating all kinds of takeaways. The Bears lead the NFL with a plus 21 takeaway giveaway margin. That's far and away the best in the league. And they're doing it with their secondary. 21 interceptions. Kevin Byard, 6 interceptions. Nahshon Wright, 5 interceptions. However, Wright is questionable for this game with a hamstring and also an illness. By the way, talking about those takeaways and giveaways, 49ers are -4. So that's something where they really have to clean up heading into the postseason, and they have to generate more takeaways than what they're giving up with the giveaways. As far as the 49ers injury report heading into this game, it looks like George Kittle is going to be a game time decision. He had the ankle injury on Monday Night Football, a couple of potential hip drop tackles for him. He didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but they're holding out hope that he'll be available to play on Sunday night. Renardo Green has already been listed as out for this game with the neck injury, so Darrell Luter will step in for him. Kyle Shanahan on Friday said that he thought Luter played very well against the Colts. Run support, also in coverage. He did not think that the pass interference penalty called on Darrell Luter was a good call. And then a couple of guys questionable. I would say it's trending in a very good way for Ricky Pearsall. And then again, with George Kittle also listed as questionable for this game, but it remains to be seen if he's going to be available. All right, on this episode of 49ers Talk, we're going to start off with our game plan interview with John Lynch, the general manager of the 49ers. We'll talk about this upcoming game and Brock Purdy and the 49ers offensive line and some of the rookies we haven't seen yet as John Lynch and his personnel department really start their work on the 2026 NFL draft. And then we'll talk to Cris Collinsworth of NBC Sports, getting you set for kickoff. And you know what? He thinks that there might be a chance that he's going to be seeing a lot of the 49ers here in the coming weeks. All right, John, coming out of the game Monday night, the big win at Indianapolis, you see what Brock Purdy did. What has he done that's really caught your eye since he's come back and started to play at this kind of level?
He's just been rock solid. I think, Kyle talks a lot about any player, particularly the quarterback position, playing without hesitation. And I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a guy playing with great conviction. Meaning, getting back to his drop, going through his progressions. If there's a tight window, go and let it go. And when you play with conviction, without hesitation on time, you can get it in those tight windows without putting the ball in peril. And I think Brock's doing a really good job of that. Plus the other added element that he gives of being able to extend plays. And he's always done that, but I think we're seeing him extend plays and making a lot of plays down the field, while extending. And so it adds an element that's just really tough to stop. And Brock's I think he's playing at a high level. And it's been really fun to watch.
He's still a young guy, but he has a lot of big game experience,
yes,
doesn't he? So, these last two games of the regular season heading into the postseason, how do you feel about just his ability to manage those kinds of situations?
I think he's ready for that. Frankly, Brock has shown that from the very first game. He went in beyond our expectations against the Miami Dolphins at home. And Brian Flores is known for bringing the kitchen sink, and he was in that game, and Brock stood in there. And never forget a throw he threw over the middle on an all-out blitz to George Kittle, and it just kind of was like, wow, that was an impressive play. And I think Brock's ready for the moment. He's calm in the face of pressure, in the face of chaos. He can function at a high level. So I think we're very fortunate to have a guy like that at that position.
Christian McCaffrey in the run game looked really strong Monday night against a good run defense. So what were the elements of the run game that you think clicked and can move forward and maybe gain some momentum here?
Yeah, for Christian looked fresh. He was exploding in and out of cuts. But I think the biggest thing, one of the things we do extremely well, we target people. We're going to get hats on hats, and we demand that at everybody. The offensive line, of course, Kyle Juszczyk, the things we're doing, there's been some added elements, some of the backfield motions, things that he is doing that make it really tough on a defense to get a beat on where the ball is going. And I think Juice is rare, his ability to do that, take on the mental capacity of being able, but then being able to physically do it. Our tight ends are really good blockers, and then our offensive line's been really good. And I thought they had their best game as a unit. Collectively, especially in the run game, and just straining a little bit longer. Can you block for 2 more counts? And there was a lot of that going on. It was really fun to watch. And it was Christian, Brian Robinson got in there. We ran the ball extremely well against a really good run defense in Indy, so that bodes well for us moving forward.
There was criticism or second guessing about how you guys handled the offensive line position when it came to free agency and also the draft. So, what have you seen from that group that you kept pretty much intact? And just overall, what was your philosophy in building the offensive line?
Well, we were able to extend Colton McKivitz right before on the eve of the opener to the season at Seattle. And he's played at a high level for us, both in the run game and the pass game. Right guard Dom Pooney, I think he started off the year injured. He had the PCL. We've had a lot of those this year, but he gutted through it. But you saw Dominic continue to get more and more healthy. And I think now we're seeing a fully healthy Dom Pooney, and he's playing really well. Brindell, for whatever reason, seemingly takes a lot of fire from people, but Jake plays at a high level. He coordinates a lot of what we do on the fly, processes at a high level. We're fortunate to have him. The left guard spot has been manned by Barch. It's been manned by Spencer Burford, who we started the year as a swing tackle. Spence has done a tremendous job. We remember him playing a lot of football at the right guard spot. We asked him to plug in at left guard, and I think that takes some time to get used to. But Spence is an incredibly talented player. He's playing at a really high level. And then the ageless wonder, Trent Williams. He's just playing extraordinary football right now. And he'll go down as one of the great tackles ever to play this game, but he's also letting people know, hey, I'm not done yet. And, it's one thing to talk about it. Trent's not going to do a lot of that. He's going to go put it on film. And he, the last few weeks, he's been playing at an extraordinarily high level.
On the other side, the run defense really stepped up against a good Colts running game. How can that carry over what the defensive front and even the guys on the back end did as far as defending the run when you're facing a really good two-back combo with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Manungai? What can carry over from the run defense?
Well, hopefully that's a little bit of a contagious deal. I think, number one, we put a huge emphasis on it last week. They had Phillip Rivers playing quarterback, and Phillip's, going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. Unbelievable competitor, and he showed he's still got a little left. But Jonathan Taylor was the key to slowing him down, and I thought our guys really stepped up to the occasion. From the very first play, we let them know we were going to be aggressive in stopping the run. I think, as I understand it, the first play was going to be a run. Phillip saw a loaded box, and our base defense against their 11 3-receiver personnel checked to that go ball down the middle that they tried to run on Mustafa. And so that was a little bit intentional, letting them know, hey, we're going to make it difficult to run, but then you got to be able to do it. I think we got gap integrity, people playing their assignments, but then getting a lot of hats to the football and then tackling well. Great defenses tackle well, and tackling has a tendency to slip later in the season. Guys' bodies are banged up, but when you have a lot to play for, that's you want to put them in tough third down situations. The way you do that, the way you earn the right to rush the passer, is to play the run well, and it's something we did really well, and we'll need to do that against the Bears because they run the ball extremely well. An offense much like ours, they target people really well. Ben Johnson's brilliant in his schematics with running the football. And then they've got two backs, Swift, who can run physically. Then he's also got the juice to get out. Manungai's been a 7th-round find for them, playing at a really high level. Tough runner, carries piles. And so they're very physical run game, very good O-line. Like us, they ask the receivers to do a lot of blocking. Everyone gets involved, so a huge challenge for us.
And the big challenge in that the quarterback has an arm that can get the ball down the field.
Yeah, you saw that at the way they walked off that game against Green Bay, throwing that beautiful ball. Caleb can make every throw. It's tough to corral him too. He's an incredible athlete. He has a tendency and an ability to extend plays longer than just about anyone in the league. And so, there'll be some long plays. We're going to have to come at them in waves with defensive line personnel. Again, we've got to stop the run, put it in Caleb's hands, and then that's a huge challenge. So that's why the Bears are 11-4. They're a very good football team.
Okay, so on the occasion of Kyle Shanahan's 46th birthday, after that Week 16 win against the Tennessee Titans, you addressed the team in the locker room and you referred to Kyle as a heck of a leader. How have you seen his leadership qualities evolve since you've been together, beginning the 2017 season?
Well, he was a first-time head coach in 2017, but I thought he had an incredible ability right away. I think a lot of it is growing up around a head coach, but growing up in the household of a head coach, seeing the demands, and his dad's obviously one of the great ones. So Kyle was pretty natural from the beginning. Kyle pushes himself to constantly get better in everything he does, and I think he's evolved. I think this year where I've seen it, we've had a lot of things happen from the offseason, having to retool a roster. He didn't blink. He puts pressure on a lot of people to let's put the best absolute product out there. Let's be aggressive each and every year, but ultimately we got to do what we can do. And I think he did that. And then the season comes and, we lose our future Hall of Fame tight end, George Kittle in the first game. Our quarterback comes out of game one with a turf toe, misses 8 games throughout the course of the year. And then it didn't seem to stop. We faced a lot, but Kyle never blinked, and he gave us a path. He gave the guys each and every week reason to believe that, why we were going to be successful. And I think the standards he holds, all right, Brock's down, Mac, we expect you to go in there and perform at a high level. On the D line, we've had numerous people, but the expectation is that they go out there and perform at a very high level. And that comes from the top. And Kyle's done a tremendous job of just exuding confidence, maintaining real high standards. And I think our team's taken on that personality, and it's served us well.
Yeah, he's definitely in that conversation for Coach of the Year. He's never won it. And I know there's 2 games left in the regular season, but what areas have you been most impressed with by what he's been able to do? Areas that even you, who've been around him for as long as you have, kind of marvel at, man, this season, this is like none other.
Well, you think we've had turnover on the coaching staff almost each and every year. People like what we do and they want to have some of it. So they come and they try to take our people and give great opportunities. And we're happy for our people when they get those opportunities. We'd like to keep them, but it's not always possible. So he hasn't blinked from that standpoint. Every year in this league, there's a lot of roster overhaul. And, we had more than usual. And we knew that, for instance, on the defensive ball, we were going to be playing a lot of young players. At some point, you accept that and you say, okay, what's the path towards being successful? And I think he's been extraordinary. And then just the resilience of this team. Again, I think the leadership, the guy who's up front in front of the team every week, putting our core values to work each week. It's been extraordinary. I think he's very much deserving of that Coach of the Year. And but that's not what's on his mind. He could care less. He wants to go put ourselves in position to compete and win a world championship.
So you guys have 6 Pro Bowl players, including 2 newcomers that came in to help out on special teams, Luke Gifford and John Weeks. What went into transforming that phase of the team from where it was a year ago to where it is now, which is one of the top units in the NFL?
Well, I think we emphasize that. I mean, Luke Gifford, you take him, he had been with Colt Anderson in Tennessee. So Colt had, personal knowledge of the type of player, the type of leader that he was. But, we're never going to take a guy just to be a special teams player. We also knew he had tremendous aptitude to be able to be kind of a swing backer that could back up, and he's played a lot of defense for us. So Luke's been really good, one of the top tacklers, in terms of the amount of tackles he has on special teams, been extremely productive and kind of set a tone leading that special teams unit. Weeks has been awesome. We felt like, Brant and Colt and Ronnie Blair, the coaches, they felt like we needed to clean up our operation. And so we went out and got John Weeks, and he's older and he doesn't look like a, football player if you're going to go, but he's been really, really good. And we're fortunate to have him. I'd add Saran Neal. He didn't get the Pro Bowl nod, but he's been a game changer for us on special teams as well. And so those guys have helped tremendously. Our special teams unit's been huge for us. Put Sky Moore in that conversation, Brian Robinson. These guys got a lot of contributions from people that weren't on our roster prior to this year.
I forget who your kicker or your punter is. So we haven't seen him too much.
Yeah, and I forgot about Pinheiro.
Yeah,
Pinheiro's been awesome for us. But Thomas, he hasn't. He's fresh. He's ready. But I think Thomas, he'll roll with it. He's a tremendous leader as well. He's been a tremendous addition to our team. And we've been seeing him on the sidelines a lot, but that's all right. We'll keep him fresh for the playoffs, and hopefully we're not punting much.
So what keeps you in the personnel department busy this time of year? Like, how much planning has already gone into what the team's going to look like in 2026?
Yeah. So first of all, I think the front office is very involved in the roster construction on a weekly basis. You always want to be improving. So there's practice squads, there's movement there, there's replacing players and the roster as it gets hurt. So working in conjunction with, my job, working in conjunction with Kyle to have our roster as good as it possibly can be. You see the flexes we do each week. But then in terms of next year, our scouts were all in for the Tennessee. We bring them in once a year, and we usually, right after that following week is draft meetings. So we just had our college draft, what we call our winter meetings, and we run through all the draftable players and the free agents. It's a long week, 5 a.m. to 8 at night. Tariq Ahmad and Dom DeSico, they run a tough ship, and those guys are in there, but we get a lot done, and it helps you. It's the kind of the first iteration of that draft class that we've been watching all the way along, and we start setting our board. This following week after the Bears game, we'll get into our free agent, what we call our free agent landscape meetings, and we'll start talking about our first introduction. And when I say first introduction, I mean we watch players all the time, and you're always tagging the ones are free agents, but you start to go through now. Fred Gamage and his staff on the pro personnel department, they'll take you through the upcoming free agents, the ones they think are good fits for us. We do a comprehensive look so that we're ready come the offseason to go to our coaches and for me to go to Kyle and say, look, here's some guys we think would be really good fits, and then they'll take it, start watching. And so it never stops. It's kind of perpetual motion, but that's what you have to do to always be ready for what's to come.
So the first draft board is up?
First draft board is up and ready, and they're subject to a lot of change.
Yeah.
It will change a lot. But you got to start somewhere. And I mean, when I say start, I mean, this has been going on. A lot of these players we've been watching for 4 years, but now you start to see the strengths of the draft. And that helps you in free agency because, hey, maybe we don't need to dabble in this position because we really like the depth and quality of the draft class. And so it all is a piece that works together, and you've got to do the due diligence. You got to put in the hard work so you're prepared for everything.
So recently when you were here on 49ers Game Plan, we talked a lot about the rookies, and you said that you're excited about some of the rookies that we really haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about 3 of those guys. Let's first start off with Jordan Watkins. 4.37 speed, very productive at Ole Miss. With some of your veteran receivers scheduled for unrestricted free agency, what does he have to do to put himself in a position, or what has he been doing to put himself in a position for next season?
I think you just said it, what he has been doing, and that's working his tail off. A lot of times that's on the scout team. And the guys that usually get opportunities are guys that give us fits during practice. And there's so many examples of guys that you keep being productive on the scout team. That's the way you earn your ops. And Jordan's done a really nice job. We've got a relatively deep group of receivers that, even when there's been injuries, Kendrick Bourne steps up and DeMarcus Robinson have stepped up. Sky Moore has been, very opportune for himself and for us, showing that he can go and make a contribution. Obviously, Jawan and Ricky, Jordan has had a lot of guys in front of him, but we've challenged him to get better, and he has. He was up on the active game day roster at Indy. Jordan's doing a really fine job. There's a high standard for receiver play. Our head coach was once a receiver himself and a receiver coach, and he's got a hard standard on those guys. But Jordan's doing a really nice job developing. He's got all the talent in the world. This offseason will be huge for him, but he may need to come up in the playoffs in these last 2 games. And so we're constantly on these guys, developing them so that when they get their chance, they're ready for that opportunity.
Another Jordan James, running back, also up on Monday, his NFL debut. What did he do behind the scenes during that opportunity?
Same thing. Been working his tail off. I give him a lot of credit. Tough rookie season. A guy who was never really hurt in college. Really healthy player. Got here and he just had a string of bad luck. Hurt his knee in training camp. Came back from his knee, then broke his hand where he needed surgery. So that puts him behind the 8 ball. At the same time, we trade for Brian Robinson. So behind Christian, who doesn't come off the field much, those carries have been going to Brian, and Brian's done a really good job. But Jordan is this guy that we know has a lot of ability. We know fits our scheme. We can't wait to watch him play. We had him up versus Indy. Just the opportunity never arose. But Jordan's ready for the opportunity, and we'll see when that comes. I do believe he'll be ready. I think he's gonna excite a lot of faithful when he gets his opportunity to run. He runs strong. He's got burst to him. A lot of the things we like in our running backs.
Quarterback Curtis Rourke, his practice window closes after this upcoming game. So what have you seen from him on the practice field as he returns from that ACL surgery he had in January?
He's got a great skill set. It's what convinced us to draft him, knowing that he'd be hurt a lot of the year coming off the ACL repair. Big, strong guy that can really throw it, has a lot of horsepower in his skill set. I think thinks at a high level. You saw what he did at Indiana, the success he had. I mean, they were a top 10, top 5 team for much of the season last year, kind of against all odds. And so he's got a lot of winner to him. And it's been great to have him up these 3 weeks and get to see that in front of us. He's been tireless in his work coming back from that knee, and that gave him the opportunity to go showcase his skills. And hopefully that can, shoot him off into the offseason. This offseason will be really important for him.
All right, John, big one coming up. Levi Stadium on Sunday night football, 2 11-4 playoff bound teams. So just the big picture for you. You're going to be facing a playoff team on Sunday. You guys remain alive as far as controlling your own destiny for home field advantage. You play your cards right, you don't ever have to leave Santa Clara the rest of the season. So how do you view this game, this final stretch, and just setting yourselves up for the playoffs?
It's exciting. This is what you want. You want to be playing meaningful ball this time of year. It's nice that before we even played in Indy, we found out we clinched the playoffs. So now it's about a couple of things. Number one, Kyle always talks to our team about the teams that continue to get better late in the season, not just kind of ride into the playoffs, but continue to find a way to get better and challenge themselves and practice with that mindset. Those are the teams that are successful. The other thing is we know what you just talked about. We can make the path, I won't say easier because it's never easy, but we can make it a little bit more favorable. Sure, it'd be nice to never have to get on a plane again, and we control that, but it starts with Chicago here at home. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. The Bears have had a tremendous season. They do a lot of things really well. Their head coach has been tremendous in his first year. So we got a big challenge, but one we're extremely excited for.
All right. Well, hope you had a great Christmas with your family. Happy holiday season and good luck on Sunday.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, man.
This episode of 49ers Talk brought to you also by Toyota. Class-leading MPG and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places. All right, I'm here with Cris Collinsworth from Sunday Night Football. It is great to see you back in the Bay Area. And what do you think of this weather?
Hell, we could be living here if the 49ers win a couple of games. So listen to this. You'll love this. So we're here for this one, right? We come back. If it works out, potentially we could be back for that winner-take-all with Seattle next week, right? So now they're the number 1 seed. We skip that game, so that'll be fine. Then we could be back, and the Super Bowl's here, and we've got the Super Bowl this year. We could be spending a lot of time in the Bay Area here very shortly.
I have to admit, when the schedule came out, I thought, you know what, there's a good chance that game, Week 17, 49ers and Bears gets flexed out.
Oh, me too. Oh, for sure. Me too. Yeah, no doubt. And then it's like the game of the year. So go figure. Anybody who thinks they know anything about the National Football League, I just look at them, I go, I know you don't know what you're talking about because I could not watch it, study it more and I have no idea who's going to win week to week. None.
A week ago, the 49ers were in the midst of a 6-11 season, and the talking points out here, has the 49ers Super Bowl window closed? And I guess it probably wasn't too unreasonable of a thought at the time, but now look at them, 11-4 heading into this game.
You know, I never like to gush too much over coaches because most of them are jerks. No, they're not. But I mean, what they're doing here with this team this year, I mean, even if you, for some reason, don't like Kyle or Robert or whatever your personal thing, this has been one of the great coaching jobs I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they have put things together with all these rookies on the defense and trying to figure that whole thing out. You're splitting time with 2 quarterbacks and trying to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of those guys. You got McCaffrey coming off a season in which, what did he play, 4 games a season ago. You've got wide receivers out there that, I mean, there's no Debo anymore. There's no Ayuk anymore. There's, and you're sort of cobbling it together. But what they have always had here are football players. They just have tough-minded human beings that come out here and battle. And the story's been out in the papers this week, and it's true that, Kyle basically called them together and go, look, this isn't a Super Bowl or bust year. I saw him at the owners meeting, and he comes walking by and he goes, have you seen our roster lately? I go, yeah, I've seen it. I said, they're getting ready to see how great a coach you really are right now, Kyle. You just go get them, Tiger. And he did. It's been phenomenal. It really has been.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. When you saw him at the owners meetings in March, they lost seemingly half their roster free agency, and they still had a lot of draft picks out there. So, how closely did you follow it from that point forward and think what this team could be capable of doing?
Well, obviously I followed it fairly closely, but I also had kind of, in my mind, put the Rams as one of those teams that I think is going to be really tough to beat. We saw them almost beat the Eagles in the playoffs last year in the snow, and all the conditions were perfect for Philadelphia, and that game came right down to the wire. So in my mind, that was sort of the team to beat. And then you watched what was happening in Seattle, and you go, that could end up being something, and I really, in my mind, had sort of put the 49ers down where, okay, this is a rebuilding. This is a salary dump. This is a whatever you want to call it kind of year. And lo and behold, they have just kept hanging in there and playing tough football. And I think getting Saleh back here, with his keep it simple kind of philosophy was perfect for the team and the rookies that he had on this team. And now you're starting to see it kind of come together a little bit. You're starting to see the pass rush wake up a little bit. Some of these rookies, 2 sacks from those guys a week ago. And I even asked him, I go, is this possible that this kind of all comes together right when the playoffs start? And, and they're all kind of like, don't say that out loud, but yeah, I think it has a chance.
So how has it happened this way? Can you put your finger? I mean, you obviously talked about Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff, and it's not just Robert Saleh, it's special teams too, with Brant Boyer. They're losing. They lost their 2 best defensive players. How has this happened?
I don't know, but the interesting part about it is when you lose a Fred Warner, you lose the voice of the defense, right? And so what has to happen is, well, somebody's got to talk. You can't just go out there and play defense without talking. And so then it started to emerge, and, D. Winters starts to become a little bit of a voice, and Mustafa and Brown, and all of a sudden people are strutting around that never strutted around before and started leading. And I think it's a really interesting case study, and it's a young man's game. Anytime I always say that in free agency, if you've heard of the player that just came to your team, it probably wasn't a good move. You want the ones that people don't really know about, that you didn't have to pay a ton of money for. And, but they've just sort of cracked the code, and you start thinking, okay, if they get Fred back by chance, for a little playoff run, what might it look like then? And I don't know. I think it's a really exciting time for San Francisco, almost no matter what happens with this team. The fact that they actually made the playoffs and with everything that they really had working against them this year is just a great story. I look forward to telling it.
Yeah, so as you sink your teeth into your game prep for the Sunday night football game, is there one aspect of this matchup that really kind of gets you excited and interested to see how it plays out on Sunday night?
Yeah, and I think Ben Johnson said it right. He studies Kyle Shanahan's offense, and they look alike. A lot of outside zone, a lot of very physical play from all these running backs in the game. And Robert Saleh explaining to me why the outside zone is the most violent play in football, and both these teams do it. And then you get the Caleb factor, and God only knows what he's going to do week to week. There are times that he just looks like he's going to be the second coming, and there are times you go, okay, there's the Caleb we'd seen in the past. But I mean, when they get the fundamentals of their running game going the way that they're going, and they can go play action off of it, and they can go bootlegs and start to use some of his God-given skills. I mean, the guy can throw it like a rocket. He can run with anybody that's playing the quarterback position. And it really is, it's a little like San Francisco. Like on any given Sunday, you don't know what to expect out of those guys. But the idea that they came back and in a miraculous way beat the Green Bay Packers in a game that was unwinnable with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game, it's kind of a get out of jail free card, you know, like from now on, what do they have to lose? What do the 49ers have to lose? And those are the kind of teams sometimes in the playoffs are very dangerous.
So you mentioned Caleb Williams. What about Brock Purdy on the other side? You know, there was a lot of chatter earlier this season when Mac Jones was playing and playing very well. Now Brock really seems to be hitting his stride again.
He really does. And he made a throw in the game last week. I was asking the coaches about it, and to Juwan Jennings. And he was pressure right in his face, and he was taking that hit. And he's sitting there with that big wide stance, which probably makes him about 5'11" at this point. And he's got it, and he just, without moving his feet, just threw one out there, and Jennings went up and caught it, and Kittle caught a couple over the middle that, you know, and sometimes you just start thinking that your guys are going to make those plays. And I don't know that either one of them are going to go in the all-athlete Hall of Fame. But, man, when that ball's up in the air, those two guys go get it. And then you got McCaffrey, and then all of a sudden they want to play man coverage against you, and they clear the field and let McCaffrey go one-on-one against the middle linebacker, and you go, well, that works a lot. That works. Just keep doing that. That works a lot. You got somebody like McKivitz who's come out of the 5th round, and all of a sudden he's a player at right tackle. Like, when did that happen? Right. And so, you know, those are the kind of stories that when a team comes out of nowhere, those are the kind of stories you get. And they're not coming out of nowhere now, neither one of these teams. So now it's like best on best in a year in which you tell me who the Super Bowl favorite is. Well, I don't think there's anybody that is a lock. I just don't.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you that. Super Bowl 60 right here in Santa Clara. Yeah. You will be in the booth calling your 6th Super Bowl. Would anything surprise you? Almost, it kind of feels like both AFC and NFC, the playoff teams are darn near set. There are a couple wiggle room there, but you know, the Bears Super Bowl window wasn't supposed to be open. The 49ers Super Bowl window was supposed to be closed. I mean, could this be a preview of a deep in the playoffs matchup, 49ers and the Bears?
Absolutely. It absolutely could. The Eagles have proven that they're beatable. The Rams have proven that they're beatable. And so I think it's one of those years. And, you know, on the other side, Jacksonville's playing as well as anybody. Kansas City's out of the playoffs. Detroit's out of the playoffs. And so this is kind of one of those fun years where it's like, okay, we can't just go give the chalk answer to who we think is the best team. You got to really start to unearth what these teams have and not go, oh my gosh, you know, oh, what a surprise. And it's like, no. You don't win 11 football games, 12 football games without having a hell of a team. And so now you got to go back in and go, all right, how did this happen? And that's fun. I like doing that.
All right, Cris, thanks so much and enjoy the call on Sunday.
Good to see you, brother.